Hey everybody, hope everyone's doing well. I want to continue sharing the liabilities of whiteness, how whiteness hurts white people. This liability of whiteness is that whiteness keeps us from seeing human difference as an amazing gift. And I think this is one that I've reflected on from my own perspective of really not understanding how we showed up as human beings in the world, growing up in a redlined, predominantly white community with white teachers, and we all looked the same, right? We so-called, all white, and I didn't really see or understand how we show up in the world as 8 billion people, are just such a vast diversity of difference and how we show up. And I guess I want to extrapolate that, just even in a predominantly white community. I did go to school with people of color. I wouldn't have called them that. I didn't have the knowledge of that. But I did notice their different color skin or different hair texture. I would say I definitely noticed. And I always thought it was interesting just to see someone who looked different. But I can also think about growing up with how children treated other children who were different, and how it was always looked at as weird or bad. And I know I did. I saw kids pick on other kids that were different. And it was made out that if you didn't sort of act a certain way or look a certain way, that difference was bad. And I know I lived with that. I was treated, differently because of my nose. My nose is large. I think it's always been this big, even when I was a kid. And so I was different and made fun of. And my mom, she's the one that told me to be proud, right? Be proud of how you look different because you have your grandmother's nose, because you come from, Italian people who have larger noses, and it's beautiful, and you should be proud of that because of your Nana. And that did help me. It did, for me to see being different as a gift, and something that made me keep my head a little bit, a little bit more proud, right? And be able to defend those nasty comments and being made fun of. And, I think that these are things, I think some people say that, kids will be kids and they'll make fun of people. But I think it starts early in this society. And I do believe that in centering whiteness and centering white people, centering white norms, centering, when I first started doing this work, you could Google beautiful woman and then just click on images, and they would all be white women with blonde hair. It's not like that anymore, which is interesting. But I used to be able to do that. You'd Google beautiful child, and again, little white girls with blonde hair would come out. And not even, white people with brunettes, dark hair. And so I feel like this whole system of white supremacy centers around these norms and tells us what is quote unquote normal, and doesn't allow us or doesn't really want us to celebrate difference as an amazing gift. And if you think about all the people, even in your own family, who look different, act different, have different views, it's all beautiful. And it is all an amazing gift, even if sometimes you don't agree with what they're saying. But this society of really, again, centering whiteness and centering these white norms that a lot of us, even as white people, don't even, adhere to in a sense or look at, but we could, again, extrapolate the system not just around race or what we look like, but also as, obviously another, social construction of gender and of our sexuality and who we're supposed to love and who we're supposed to like and, how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to dress. These systems are really so oppressive. And, I remember a friend of mine had shared that she was so excited for her daughter who had, an amazing degree and in economics and very, very bright young woman of color. And how excited she was that she was going to enter this very prestigious economic institute that I'm sure everyone knows, and that she needed to get her, pearls and a navy suit. And I just was like, wow, I could probably do a whole video on how women are oppressed in these patriarchal systems of business and, again, white norms, these white norms. And we don't see difference as an amazing gift. And it truly is. If you think about all of the people, again, like I said, even if, in your own family, and how we show up so differently, right? Even if you're a twin, you know that you're not the same. You're so different and maybe think differently, look differently, act differently. And I think that we need to push ourselves, especially us white people, because that's who I see mostly complaining and hating. And I think about all the refugees and migrants coming to this country looking for a place of refuge. We don't look at that as an amazing gift. And I know the media does not help either. I just wish the headlines, we could switch all the headlines, that wouldn't just, again, label these human beings again, that are just going through such horrific situations that we probably couldn't even endure for a day. But we're so quick to complain and to really just not have the empathy and compassion that we need. So it is a liability of whiteness not to see human difference as an amazing gift. Once you have a different lens and you're open to be able to be curious, and see difference as something to think about, to learn about, to examine, and then allow yourself to be different. Allow yourself to be who you are supposed to be and not live up to what you think you're supposed to do or you're supposed to say or how you're supposed to act. It really is accepting yourself first and foremost. And I think, again, a lot of these that I talk about with the liabilities of whiteness is examining our own selves. And do we even accept ourselves as different human beings? And how have we changed ourselves to conform to something that we just are not? We're just not. And how does that hurt us? And then how does that hurt us if we project that on other people? And again, we lose so much. We lose so many amazing gifts. So I'm going to keep examining my whiteness, keep examining how I look at the world, how I walk through the world, how I think of myself, and just keep being me for sure. And I hope you do the same. Take care.